Arizona real estate agents, we are excited to announce a new farming integration into the standard title app. Now, in addition to pulling seller net sheets, buyer estimates, property reports, marketing material, you will now have access to geographically specific farming capabilities. If you have not already downloaded the app, go ahead and scan the QR code to get started. Keep watching for some more details on the specifics of the farming capabilities.
And we are very excited to launch our partnership with Benutech and their amazing farming system. It's called Title Toolbox. So through Prism, they'll be passed through the Title Toolbox, and they'll be able to run a variety of searches in order to help identify leads to capture sales and market their real estate business. So I'm going to go ahead over to our demo site. I'm going to launch farming, and then in here, I'm going to make this bigger as well. So you can see here, it defaulted, I'm in Georgia, so I've got some Georgia maps here displaying. You can change this view, so if users are more familiar, looking at a satellite or maybe just that street view, they can definitely change the ways that they're looking through that as well. So I'm going to run through just a few scenarios here so you can see that functionality. And I'm going to run through farming. And you can see here we've got a radius search, we have a boundary search, we have an area search. These are different ways that they can search for the properties they're looking for. So I'm going to start with this radius search. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just going to put a pin there. And anything in this purple area, so you can see I can increase this pin or I can make that bigger. I can move that over if I want to define the area a little differently than my initial pin selection. And I'm going to go ahead to next. Now, when this next screen comes up here, here's where I have the ability to search for those particular properties that I'm looking for. So maybe I want to look for something that's at least a 3-bedroom, it's at least a 2-bath. Here you can start seeing that my filters are building here below. Maybe I want to look and make sure that they have at least 2 stories. I can set building size, so if I'm looking for a certain square foot here, I can do that as well. And all of these values here are built in for them for their search. So if they wanted to look for, a purchase price of a certain range, if they wanted to look for a particular maybe custom filter over here, maybe they wanted to know all of the empty nesters or maybe, out-of-state mailing addresses, they can really look through any of these criteria and start building that as part of their search. Some of these pages also do have available fields, so it's not part of the default, but they can add to it. So if they wanted to look for acreage, for example, they can start adding that to their search. They also have the ability to look for Premier data. So this Premier data, you would give them access to the farming module. They would have all of these tabs here where they can start building their search, but they can purchase this other information directly. So if they were looking for, maybe they wanted to know if anybody had a HELOC, for example. Maybe they wanted to get some leads on these particular properties. Maybe they wanted to purchase phones, numbers, or email addresses. They can do that directly through the app. They can just select those that they want, and then they'll be prompted to put their credit card in so they can just purchase that directly. So I'm going to see here, I'm going to get a count. Let's see what was found with my search here. And you can see there's about 2,600 properties that were found back in the search. So I'm just going to go ahead and download these. They can always come back to it and fine tune the criteria if they're not wanting this big of a farm here for this particular area. And they can just really come back here and they can edit the search. So they could go back here and start selecting some of these other things if they wanted to help narrow down that search. Also, if they wanted to open up some of their filters here, they could just remove some of these filters as well, and it'll rebuild the search based on that. So you can see here, I've got a lot of properties that were found. I have my first page here. As I scroll through, I can see some different colors for the pins. Over to the left, it'll start highlighting those properties that I'm at within that search area. You can see there's a lot of data that was returned back here. So I'm getting the last sold date, getting the sale price, getting the owner name. If I keep scrolling over, I'm going to start seeing, the number of bedrooms, the baths, the square foot here. If it's owner occupied or not. So a lot of information can be found here just from within the search. And they do have a couple other things that they can do from here. So from here, I can go to a detailed view of that property if I wanted to see something. I can also create a note. So this is a good way if they're reaching out to any of these folks for leads. They can start having those conversations. They can track their notes here within the properties as well. They can also save these farms. So as they're going through here and you're seeing I'm just kind of going through the next page, the next tab of data, it's changing over here on the left with what are those properties that it's seeing. So they can really get this full view of it. And of course, they can always change any of their searching. So if they wanted to change their sorts, they can just click on any of these column headings and it'll start sorting through the properties as well for them. And they can also save these farms. So this is something that they market frequently. They can put this in here. And they can save this farm. And it always gives them that update. They do have other ways that they can farm here as well. So I'm going to clear this search. I'm going to start over. They can also go to a boundary search. So within a boundary search, they can really define those areas that they want specifically. Maybe they don't want to include this. Maybe they want to come up here, but not include that road. And they can define this boundary just by moving their pins around here. So I'm going to do next on this one. And then same thing here. They'll have the ability, all of this information is included in their search, but they do have that premier data that they could purchase separately. So if I wanted to know if there's anything in this area that's at least a 5-bedroom, 3-bath here, and I'm going to remove that filter, I can get that count. And I can see 376 properties were found with that. So really easy for them to use, really easy for them to get that information. They'll be able to market this information from, market these farms. When they come in, they can do a few things with the export here. So you can see they can get this data out in a CSV. They can generate mailing labels if they want to do that. They can also generate a walking farm. So that provides a quick snapshot of all the information for them. They can take that out within the field, make notes on the different properties as they're seeing them, come back here, put those notes in, or if they're on their device, they can come in here, their phone or their tablet. They'll be able to come in, they'll be able to make notes on those properties as they're building these things. So a lot of different ways to get this information out for them. And then here, they can also run a new possible leads. So this is another tool that they have the ability to purchase. So we have some information here. They can change some of these, last months if they want to help narrow that down a little bit. And then they can also buy this information directly. So another way just to get that listing information. Now, another way that they can search here with farming, they can do an area search if they wanted to search just by a particular county. And they also have this quick search here that they can run in. So if they wanted to specify an area using that pin or that radius farming there, they could do that. They can also generate something if they're looking for a specific state. So I'm just going to do this. I'll kind of open that up a little bit. And then when I come in here, they'll have some different queries that they can run. So some of these are defaults. Some of these are just kind of starting to build as they're running through and generating their farm. So if I wanted to know just quickly all the out-of-state owners in that particular area, I could go ahead and search. So here it tells me in that pin area that I had selected, I have 77 properties. So this gives them a nice way to just quickly run that search. They can always go back and edit that search if they wanted to do any of those fine-tune of the search criteria that they have. And they can also remove things here. So you can see it's just really easy for them to get this information. They can save these farms for areas that they market frequently. And then I'm going to clear this one, and I'm going to come back over to here under farming. I'm going to show you save farm. So ran some different farms here. You can see I had access to California, so I ran some over there. You can see as I highlight or hover over these farms, you can see the different parameters that I use, whether it was that, radius farming where I did that search. So I'm going to come back to this one, and I'm going to select this farm. And then here, any of their farms that they have, they always do have the ability to refresh that data. So they can run that. They can come here, refresh. It's going to go see if there's any updates have been made to any of these properties, and it will have that always for them for the latest and greatest. They can also change any of these columns here. So you'll see there's a lot of default columns that they have by the functionality, but if they wanted to go ahead and narrow any of those down or really just kind of focus in on some of those key elements, they can definitely remove some of these and clean up that view a little bit just so they can focus on the things that they'd like to look for. And that's all customizable by the user. Now, the other thing that they'll have besides farming, they'll also have the statistics area. So with statistics here, they can run these and they'll get some information about that area. So if I wanted to come in here and run this pin in this area, I'm going to go ahead and just search for that. You can see that we'll have a lot of different search criteria they can use. So turnover rates, average sale prices, they'll be able to get a lot of those statistics that they're looking for in these areas, and that can help them figure out those areas that they want to market in. So you can see in that pin selection that I had, we had 54 records were retrieved. So this shows the neighborhoods. It shows that pin map where they're at. If they wanted to maybe look here, this maybe has a lot of turnover here. They can go here. They can get detailed statistics on this. So this would show some of the averages for the bed and bath, the year built. You can see average prices. And if they want to go even further down, well, what's in that neighborhood, they can select from here. And it's going to then allow them the ability to then filter through any of those other filters or categories that they want to add, and then they can get their count. So I'm going to continue with that one. I still want it to look in that boundary I look for. And you can see here that 4 properties match this criteria. So a good way, this is allowing them really to get those statistics, those averages on prices and sizes of the homes, the last sell dates, the last, the average sale price. And then once they've done that, they can really drill down and see those specific properties that met those criteria as well. So a lot of functionality that we have for them for farming. We're really excited